it's really important for you guys to be prepared with pain points for different groups of people. And that's going to really be helpful on a couple levels. One is it's going to be helpful to change up your infomercial on the drop of a hat. The second is it helps you in an actual needs-based meeting or curiosity meeting when people only give you one problem, but you mention a couple others that you typically see, and then they agree with you that, yeah, they have those challenges as well, right? So if somebody tells me that they don't have a business plan for their law practice, I would say, that's I know that can be difficult. Attorneys generally that don't have plans also tell me, and then I'll give them like two other pain points, and then they usually accompany each other. So instead of having one issue, I typically then can get to three. Same thing with your infomercial. You want to have 5, 6, 7 to 10 pain points so you can mix them up. All right. Does anybody have that, like a pain point for what you do, but then maybe a pain point that would be for a different audience? Does anybody have an example of that or have that at the ready? Well, then that would be my recommendation would be to, here, I'll put it down here, prepare, let's say 4 to 8 pain points. And by the way, does anybody have an example of a pain point? Just so we're on the same page as far as like, what is Steve talking about? Pain points. I don't even know what that is. Yep.
I was going to say, for me with estate planning, the pain point is, loss of parent. It's
Okay.
estate planning can also be, like I say, birth of the child, sale of the business, leaving one job for another can be something where estate planning come into play.
Ryan, I want you to stay with me for a minute. How do we
Yeah.
take what you just said and make it a little bit more emotional or painful? Because what you said isn't wrong, but I'm almost inclined, or I know I'm inclined to want to take it a little bit further, because I could have a death of a parent or a death, like that. But what's the emotional trigger that would get me off my ass to go get an estate plan or to proceed to want to meet with you after a networking meeting?
Because I
Okay.
help people to set their affairs and orders after the loss of a parent.
Okay. And what happens if that is not done?
If that's not done, they get left to go through the probate process in the wild on their own without any kind of guidance, and all it'll do is lead to nothing but stress.
I want you to write down in the wild. Okay, because what that is, that's an emotional and visual statement that you just made that is going to trigger me much more than a death in the family. Okay. Is there anything that can happen that is also negative relating to the government if I don't have an estate plan?
Oh, sure. At that point, one of my biggest selling points in meetings is simple. The government and the statute is going to say what happens to your stuff instead of you. Your legacy gets decided by a bureaucrat instead of what you desire and what you want.
And write that down. Do you guys see where I'm going with this? It's not about where you start. It's about taking it a step or two deeper. We also are going to plan, and we're going to be practicing this when we talk about how we get pain and emotional triggers out of our prospects.